In 1987, a team of divers descended into Lake Tahoe searching for the body of a missing man. They found something else, hundreds of bodies perfectly preserved in the icy water, some from decades ago. But the most terrifying part, they were all standing upright, as if they were still alive, waiting for something in the depths of the lake. Tonight, we will explore the truth behind this horrifying story and 5 other mysteries of California, legends that even modern science cannot explain. Because in California, the line between reality and myth is thinner than you think. So thin, you might step across it without even knowing. Part 1. Lake Tahoe, the underwater graveyard. Imagine you are diving to a depth of 500 meters in Lake Tahoe. The sunlight no longer reaches this far. The water is so cold your skin goes numb, even through a thick wetsuit. And then, you see a human figure standing upright in the darkness. Not one, but dozens, hundreds of figures, standing motionless like statues in the deep abyss of the lake. Lake Tahoe is no ordinary lake. With a depth of up to 501 meters, 1,644 feet, it is the second deepest lake in North America. But what makes it so special isn't its depth, it's the water temperature. Below 200 meters, about 650 feet, the water here is frigid year-round, about 4 degrees Celsius, 39 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to preserve a body like a giant, natural refrigerator. The Washoe people, the native tribe that has lived around the lake for thousands of years, they have their own name for it, Da-Awaga, meaning the edge of the lake. But in their oral traditions, there is another, less mentioned name, the Lake of Underwater Spirits. They believe the bottom of the lake is the abode of spirits who cannot pass on, those who drowned but could not leave. The story of Donald Christopher Windecker is perhaps the clearest evidence for this legend. In July of 1987, Windecker, a 44-year-old man, decided to go diving in the lake with friends on a summer afternoon. He dived down and never resurfaced. The rescue team searched for days, but with no results. A human body usually floats to the surface after a few days due to gases from decomposition, but Windecker did not float. 17 long years later, in 2011, a group of divers happened to find Windecker's body at a depth of 265 meters, 869 feet. And this is what sent shivers down everyone's spines. His body was almost perfectly preserved. His skin was still intact. His clothes were still on, as if he had just died yesterday, not 17 years ago. But Windecker is not the only case. According to unofficial records, there are at least hundreds of other bodies at the bottom of Lake Tahoe, some from the gold rush era of the 1800s, when miners crossing the frozen lake fell through, some from the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad, when Chinese laborers were allegedly pushed into the lake, and many others from many different eras, all preserved in the eternal cold of the lake. There is one detail that even scientists cannot explain. Why don't these bodies float to the surface according to natural law? Some suggest that the water pressure at great depths compresses the air in the lungs, preventing the body from floating. But this doesn't explain why some bodies are found in an upright position, as if they were walking on the bottom of the lake when they died. Jacques Cousteau, the legendary ocean explorer, once conducted a dive in Lake Tahoe in 1975. When he surfaced, he said something that still chills people to this day. "The world is not ready for what I saw down there." He never released any video or photos from that dive, and he never returned to Lake Tahoe. There are stories from local divers, people who have spent their lives exploring this lake. They speak of a ghost town at the bottom of the lake, with buildings, streets, and even a cemetery. They talk about human-like shadows moving in the dark, not due to the current, but as if they were moving on their own. A diver named Frank recounted, "I swear to God, I saw a man in a suit standing next to an old-fashioned carriage, and when I shined my light on him, he turned his head and looked at me." Modern science tries to explain these phenomena. They talk about hallucinations caused by oxygen deprivation, about water pressure affecting the brain, about the natural preservation phenomenon in cold water. But no one can explain why Lake Tahoe keeps its dead, not letting them float, not letting them decompose, but keeping them there, standing still in the eternal darkness. The Washoe have a legend. They say that at the bottom of the lake, there is a gateway to the other world. But not everyone can pass through. The trapped souls must stand there, waiting, perhaps forever, and on the night of a full moon, if you listen very carefully, you can hear them calling from the deep water. In 2019, a research team used the most advanced sonar technology to scan the lake bed. They detected many large objects on the bottom. But when a robotic submersible was sent down to investigate, it found nothing, as if those things had vanished or moved elsewhere. The project leader later resigned and refused to speak about what he had seen on the sonar screen. Lake Tahoe still keeps its secrets, and perhaps that's for the best, because as Jacques Cousteau said, "The world may not be ready, but our next mystery is completely different. It doesn't hide underwater, but soars through the sky with wings so wide they could block out the sun." Part 2. The Thunderbird, Monster of the Skies. Imagine you are hiking in the San Bernardino Mountains. The sun is shining brightly, not a cloud in the clear blue sky. And then suddenly, a shadow falls over the ground around you. A shadow too large to be from a normal bird. You look up, and your heart stops. A pair of wings, 20 feet wide, is gliding over your head. Slowly, silently, like a nightmare in broad daylight. Thunderbird, the name given to this creature by the native people thousands of years ago. In their language, this is not just a large bird, but an embodiment of thunder, of the power of nature. The Chumash people of Southern California say that when the Thunderbird flaps its wings, thunder rolls. When it opens its eyes, lightning flashes. And when it calls, the rain will fall. But the Thunderbird doesn't just exist in ancient legends. There are hundreds of reports from modern people. People who don't believe in myths, but who have seen this creature with their own eyes. And the strange thing is, their descriptions are all astonishingly similar. A giant bird with a wingspan of 5 to 7 meters, 16 to 23 feet. Black or dark brown feathers. A featherless head like a vulture's, but much, much larger. One of the most controversial pieces of evidence is a photograph from the Tombstone Epitaph newspaper in 1890. The faded black and white photo supposedly showed a group of 6 men standing next to a massive, dead, winged creature. They had to stretch their arms out to measure its wingspan. But the strange thing is, this photo has mysteriously vanished from all archives. People who claim to have seen it swear it was real, but no one can find the original. In 1977, an event in Lawndale, Illinois shook the entire United States. Although it happened thousands of miles from California, it is closely related to the Thunderbird reports there. Marlon Lowe, a 10-year-old boy, was playing in his yard. Suddenly, a giant bird swooped down, grabbed the boy with its talons, and lifted him into the air. His mother screamed and ran after them. Fortunately, after flying about 35 feet, the bird dropped the boy. There were 7 witnesses to the entire event. What is remarkable is that the witnesses' descriptions of the bird perfectly match the reports from California. A wingspan of about 12 feet, a featherless head, a hooked beak like a scavenger's, but a size far larger than any known bird species. After this incident, scientists tried to explain it by saying it was an eagle or a California condor. But the largest California condor has a wingspan of only 10 feet and is not strong enough to lift a 65-pound child. Back in California, Thunderbird sightings are most concentrated in the San Bernardino Mountains and the Sierra Nevada. In 2002, a private airline pilot reported a near collision with a giant bird at an altitude of 10,000 feet. According to him, that bird flew past my plane, and I swear its wingspan was almost as long as the wing of my Cessna, which is about 36 feet. The radar registered nothing, but the plane's camera recorded a blurry black shadow sweeping past. Scientists have proposed many theories. Some suggest it could be a descendant of the pteranodon, the ancient flying reptile, somehow surviving to this day. But pteranodons went extinct 65 million years ago. Others think of the Argentavis, the largest bird that ever existed with a 7-meter, 23-foot wingspan, but it also went extinct 6 million years ago. There is a strange detail that many witnesses mention. The Thunderbird seems to have the ability to disappear. Many people recount that they were watching the bird, and in the blink of an eye it vanished into thin air. Not flew away, but truly disappeared. John Martinez, a national park ranger, said, "I was tracking it with my binoculars. It was gliding at about 300 feet. I blinked, and it was gone. The sky was completely empty." Even more frightening are the reports of the Thunderbird's behavior. Unlike a typical bird of prey, the Thunderbird seems to observe humans with a strange curiosity. Many witnesses say the bird circled them, as if studying, assessing them. Sarah Coleman, a hiker, recounted, "It circled me 3 times. Closer each time. I could see its eyes, black and deep, looking right at me. There was an intelligence in that gaze, unlike any bird I've ever seen." In 2015, a team of biologists set up automated cameras throughout the San Bernardino area to record wildlife. In over 2,000 hours of footage, they captured many rare birds, but there were 37 frames showing a massive black shadow flying past, too large to be any known bird. When enlarged and analyzed, the shape perfectly matched the description of the Thunderbird. But strangely, all of these files were partially corrupted, making a clear identification impossible. The native people have their own warning about the Thunderbird. They say that seeing a Thunderbird is an omen. If it flies east, a big storm is coming. If it flies west, there will be a drought. But if it circles you, it's a sign that you have been chosen. Chosen for what? They do not say. Only that your life will never be the same. Perhaps the biggest mystery about the Thunderbird is not whether it exists, but why it still exists. In a world where every inch of land is monitored by satellite, where every sky is scanned by radar, how can a creature so large hide? Or perhaps, the Thunderbird doesn't belong to this world. Perhaps it comes from another place, another dimension, only occasionally visiting our reality. From the mysterious sky, we descend to the ground, to a place even stranger, a city that thousands have seen, have visited, but that no one can find again. A city that exists, and yet does not. Welcome to the mystery of the Phantom City. Part 3, the Phantom City. The San Bernardino Mystery. Imagine you're driving on a desert road at dusk. The sun is sinking below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and reds. Your GPS says you've arrived, but before you is only endless sand and rock. You check the address again, it's correct. But the city that's supposed to be here doesn't exist. Or perhaps it just doesn't exist right now. The San Bernardino Desert, a vast, arid land in Southern California, where daytime temperatures can soar to 104 degrees Fahrenheit and drop below freezing at night. This is a place where the line between real and unreal is at its most blurred, where a desert mirage can make you see things that aren't there. But what happens when hundreds of people, independently of each other, all see a city that doesn't exist on any map? The story of the Phantom City begins in the 1950s, when the interstate highway was built through the desert. Long-haul truck drivers began reporting a strange city that would appear at dusk. Tom Henderson, a trucker with 23 years of experience, recalls, "I'd driven that route hundreds of times, but one afternoon in July of 1995, I saw a city I'd never seen before." According to Tom, the city appeared on the right side of the highway, about a mile away. There were streetlights, houses, even the neon sign of a gas station. He decided to turn in to get gas and coffee. He drove down the dirt road leading into the city and actually pulled into a gas station. The attendant was an old man with white hair, wearing a white shirt and khaki pants, looking like someone from the 50s. Tom continues, "I filled up my tank, bought a coffee and a pack of gum, paid with a $20 bill and got change back. Everything was normal, except for a strange feeling that everything was old. Not run down old, but from another era old. The gas pump was the old kind with the spinning dial. The soda cooler was a 1950s model. Even the change I got back was old bills." After leaving the station, Tom got back on the main highway and continued his journey. But 2 hours later, when he wanted to use a payphone at that gas station to call his wife, he couldn't find the turnoff. He drove back and forth on that stretch of road 3 times. But there was no dirt road, no city, only empty desert. Even stranger, when he checked his wallet, the old bills had turned into modern currency. Tom wasn't the only one with this experience. Maria Gonzalez, a nurse from Los Angeles, told a similar story from 2003. "I was driving home after a night shift, tired and sleepy. I saw the lights of a small town and decided to stop and rest. I went into a small diner, ordered a coffee and a sandwich. The waitress was a young woman in a classic poodle skirt. The diner was decorated in a 1960s style, with a jukebox and swivel bar stools. Maria remembers every detail vividly. She sat in the diner for about 30 minutes, drinking coffee and eating her sandwich. There were about 5 or 6 other customers, all dressed in old-fashioned clothing. She even remembers the song playing from the jukebox, Blue Moon by the Marcells. When she asked for directions, the waitress showed her a shortcut to get back to Los Angeles faster. But when Maria wanted to return to that diner the following week to thank her, she couldn't find it. She drove the exact same route, but there was no town, no diner. She asked the locals, but no one knew of such a diner in the area. The only thing she had left from that visit was the receipt. But when she took it out of her purse, it had turned into a blank piece of paper. Scientists have tried to explain the Phantom City phenomenon with various theories. The most common is the Fata Morgana, a complex form of mirage that occurs when layers of air at different temperatures refract light, creating images of distant objects. But a Fata Morgana only creates an image, not a physical experience like filling up a gas tank or drinking coffee. Another theory suggests it's a time slip or a fold in time. According to this theory, under certain special conditions, possibly due to strong magnetic fields or some quantum phenomenon, time can be warped, allowing people from the present to see or even interact with the past. This could explain why everything in the city seemed old, from another era. But there is one detail that neither of these theories can explain: the consistency in the descriptions. Robert Chen, a paranormal investigator, has collected over 200 accounts of the Phantom City from 1950 to the present. He discovered that, even though these people didn't know each other, had never met, their descriptions of the city were strangely identical. All of them describe a small town with 1950s to 60s architecture. There is a main street with small shops, a gas station, a diner, and a movie theater. The street names are also the same: Main Street, Oak Avenue, Desert Rose Lane. Even the names of the gas station and diner are consistent: Desert Oasis Gas Station and the Blue Moon Diner. Even more frightening, when Chen researched the history of the area, he discovered that in 1958, there had been a plan to build a new town called New Paradise, right in the area where people reported seeing the Phantom City. The town's blueprints, preserved in the San Bernardino County archives, perfectly matched the witnesses' descriptions. But this town was never built. The project was canceled due to a lack of funding. So why are people seeing a city that never existed? Are they seeing an alternate reality where the town of New Paradise was built? Or is this a form of collective memory, born from the dreams and hopes of those who once wished for a new town in the desert? The local native people have their own story. They say the San Bernardino Desert is a place where the veil between worlds is thinnest. At dusk, as the light shifts from day to night, the doors between realities can open. What people see is not a mirage, but a real city. It just exists in another place, another time, another dimension. Most recently, in March of 2022, a group of UCLA students reported seeing the Phantom City while conducting geological research in the desert. This time, they were prepared, carrying cameras, GPS trackers, and other recording devices. But when they tried to enter the city, a strange phenomenon occurred. The closer they got, the farther away the city seemed, as if it was moving away at the same speed they were advancing. After 2 hours of trying, the students gave up. But when they reviewed their recording devices, all of them showed a static image of the empty desert. No city. There was only one strange detail. On the audio recorder, a faint sound of music could be heard, like music from an old radio, playing songs from the 1960s. The Phantom City continues to appear, infrequently, unpredictably, but often enough to remind us that reality is not as simple as we think. Perhaps somewhere, in a hidden corner of the universe, the town of New Paradise still exists, with people living in a bygone era, waiting for visitors from another reality to stop by. From a city that can't be found, we turn to a road that's even more mysterious. A road that thousands have driven on, but that no one can show to another. A road that exists in memory, but not in reality. Welcome to the mystery of Clinton Road. Part 4, Clinton Road. Highway to nowhere. Imagine you're driving home after a long day at work. The traffic is backed up, as usual. Your GPS suddenly suggests a new shortcut. Clinton Road extension saves 20 minutes. You take the turn. The asphalt is brand new. The lines are clearly marked. The traffic signs are all there. You drive smoothly and get home early. But the next day, when you want to take that road again, you can't find the entrance. The GPS doesn't show it. It's not on any map, as if the road never existed. This is the story of thousands of people in California over the last 20 years. They all claim to have driven on a road called the Clinton Road extension, but no one can find it again. Sarah Martinez, a nurse in San Francisco, recounts her experience. I took that road every evening for a week. It cut my commute from an hour down to 40 minutes. The road was great, with streetlights, even an automated toll booth. Sarah remembers the details clearly. The road began at a small exit off Highway 101 with a blue sign that read, Clinton Road Extension, San Francisco 15 miles. The road had 2 lanes in each direction, a median in the middle, modern LED streetlights. She even remembers the toll booth number, CRE07, and the toll was $3.50. But on Saturday night, when Sarah wanted to show her husband the route so he could use the shortcut too, she couldn't find the exit. They drove back and forth on Highway 101 3 times, stopping at every exit to check, but there was no Clinton Road extension. When they asked a gas station attendant nearby, no one knew of such a road. Even when she called the Department of Transportation, they confirmed that no road with that name existed in their system. Michael Thompson, a software engineer, had a similar experience, but with a more terrifying detail. He didn't just drive on Clinton Road alone, but with 3 friends. We were coming back from bowling and decided to try the new route the GPS suggested. All 4 of us saw the sign. We all commented on how good the road was. We even stopped at a rest stop to buy water. The strange thing is that all 4 of them remember every detail clearly. But when they tried to find the road the following week, it didn't exist. Michael's phone had his GPS history, but the section for Clinton Road showed up as a blank space, as if the phone had lost its signal for that entire stretch, even though he clearly remembered using his phone to text while on that road. Dash cams should have been irrefutable proof, but the mystery is that all video recordings on Clinton Road are strangely corrupted. Jennifer Park, a lawyer who habitually records all her drives, discovered something terrifying when she reviewed her footage. In the video, my car is driving on Highway 101, then the image gets staticky for a few seconds, and then suddenly I'm on the street to my house. The 30-minute period on Clinton Road was completely gone. But some people were luckier, or perhaps unluckier. They have physical evidence. David Chen kept a receipt from the CRE07 toll booth, but when he had it checked, no one could identify where it came from. The barcode didn't match any toll system in California. The paper material was also strange, not like typical receipt paper. What's remarkable is that when researchers began collecting and comparing the stories, they discovered an incredible consistency. Everyone described the road with the same features, the same number of lanes, the same type of streetlights, the same location for the toll booth. Even people who didn't know each other reported seeing the same billboard, a hotel ad with the words, "Rest easy at Clinton Motor Lodge, Exit 7B." Digging deeper, a shocking discovery was made in the archives of the California Department of Transportation. In 1970, a highway construction project called the Clinton Extension was approved. The detailed blueprints still exist, and they perfectly match the descriptions from people who have driven on this phantom road. But the project was canceled at the last minute due to land disputes and environmental issues. Dr. Patricia Williams, a quantum physicist at Stanford, offers a bold theory. We might be witnessing quantum superposition on a macro scale. In a parallel reality, the Clinton extension was built. And under certain conditions, the boundary between the 2 realities becomes blurred, allowing people from this reality to experience the road from the other one. But this theory doesn't explain why only some people see the road, while others at the same time and place do not. Nor does it explain why the experience usually only lasts for a short period before the road disappears. There is one notable common denominator. Most of the people who saw Clinton Road were in a state of fatigue or stress. They were all looking for a faster way to get home. This leads to a psychological theory that the brain in a tired state can create a collective hallucination. But how to explain multiple people sharing such a detailed hallucination? Some believe that Clinton Road is a glitch in the matrix, a bug in the fabric of reality. According to this theory, our reality is like a giant computer program, and sometimes errors occur, allowing data from different versions of the program to overlap. In 2021, an independent research group tried a bold experiment. They gathered 10 people who had driven on Clinton Road and took them to the area where the road was said to appear. The result was astonishing. 7 out of the 10 people all pointed to the same spot and insisted that was the entrance to Clinton Road, even though there was only a concrete highway wall there. Something even more chilling happened when they used a magnetometer. At the exact spot these people pointed to, the magnetic field fluctuated erratically, unstable, as if there was some invisible energy source. But nothing could explain this energy. Clinton Road remains a mystery. Every month, new people report having driven on this road, and each time, the question is raised again. Is it possible that somewhere, in a hidden corner of reality, the Clinton Road extension still exists, waiting for the right people to offer them a shortcut home? Or is it all just the strangest collective illusion in history? From roads that don't exist, we move to sounds that shouldn't, sounds that science can't explain, that only a select few can hear. And once you hear it, your life will never be peaceful again. Part 5. The hum, the mysterious Taos sound. Right now, stop and listen very carefully. Turn off all the electronic devices around you. In that absolute silence, do you hear it? A very low, very deep sound, like a diesel engine running in the far distance, or like a relentless buzzing bee. If you hear it, congratulations, or perhaps I should say, my condolences. You are one of the 2% of the world's population that can hear the hum, the mysterious sound that has driven many people mad. The hum. A simple name for a phenomenon so complex that modern science has yet to explain it. A low-frequency sound ranging from 30 to 80 hertz that appears in many places around the world, but is strongest and clearest in certain areas. And California, especially the region near Taos on the border with New Mexico, is one of the hotspots for this phenomenon. Joe Mullins, a sound engineer with 30 years of experience, first heard the hum on a March night in 2005. I woke up at 3 in the morning with an uncomfortable feeling. At first, I thought it was the air conditioner, but when I turned off all the power in the house, the sound was still there. It wasn't coming from my ears, but from somewhere outside, or maybe from everywhere at once. Joe describes the sound as a constant vibration, unchanging in pitch, with no rhythm, just one long, deep note that never ends. The strange thing is, as a sound engineer, he had all the equipment to record and analyze any kind of sound. But when he tried to record the hum, the microphones picked up nothing. The measuring devices showed no sound waves in the frequency range he was hearing. This leads to the first question. Is the hum really a sound? Or is it something else, something the human ear can perceive but isn't a conventional sound wave? Dr. Sarah Chen, a neurologist at UCLA, has studied hundreds of people who hear the hum. Their brains react as if they are hearing a real sound. The auditory cortex is highly active, but strangely other parts of the brain are also active, areas not typically associated with sound processing. The Taos hum, the most famous version of this phenomenon, began to be widely reported in the early 1990s. Residents of the town of Taos, New Mexico, near the California border, began to complain about a mysterious sound disturbing their lives. Not just a few people, but hundreds, independently of each other, all described the same type of sound. Margaret Wilson, a retired teacher, speaks of living with the hum for 15 years. At first, it was just a small annoyance like a distant bee, but over time it got louder, more persistent. There were nights I couldn't sleep. The sound felt like it was drilling into my head. I tried everything: earplugs, white noise machines, even moving. But the hum followed me. What's noteworthy is that the hum isn't always there. It can disappear for days, weeks, then suddenly return stronger. Margaret noticed some patterns. It's often stronger at night, especially between 2 and 4 in the morning, stronger in winter than in summer, and strangest of all, stronger on cloudless nights. The US government once conducted a large-scale investigation into the Tao's hum. A team of scientists from various fields, physics, geology, medicine, acoustics, spent 2 years on the study. They ruled out all possible sources of sound, from industrial activity to high-voltage power lines, from seismic activity to radio waves. The final conclusion: no identifiable physical source of the sound could be found. But if it's not a physical sound, then what is the hum? One theory suggests it's a form of tinnitus, ringing in the ears, occurring in many people at once. But tinnitus is usually high-pitched, unlike the low drone of the hum, and it can't explain why it only occurs in specific geographical areas. Dr. Michael Torres, a geophysicist, offers another theory. The hum might be the result of extremely low-frequency seismic waves generated by deep tectonic activity. These waves may not be strong enough to cause tremors, but enough to create vibrations that some sensitive individuals can perceive. This could explain why the hum is stronger in certain areas with unique geological activity. But this theory also has problems. If it were seismic waves, why does only 2% of the population hear it? And why can these people hear the hum even when they move elsewhere, thousands of miles from the supposed seismic source? A more controversial theory involves military technology. Some believe the hum is a side effect of the military's extremely low-frequency ELF communication system used to contact submarines. ELF waves can penetrate water and rock, and could create a resonant effect in certain structures, including the human body. But what can't be explained is why the hum was reported long before ELF technology was developed. There are records of similar sounds from the 19th century, when electricity was not yet widespread. Native peoples in many places also have legends of the call of the earth, a sound that only the chosen can hear. Lisa Patterson, an independent researcher, spent 10 years interviewing people who hear the hum. She discovered something remarkable. Many of them share common traits. They are often more sensitive than the average person. Many have the ability to sense the weather, to feel an earthquake before it happens. Some even report having other unusual psychic experiences. This leads to a bold hypothesis. The hum may not be a sound in the conventional sense, but a form of energy or information that only certain people are equipped to decode. Just as radio waves exist all around us but require a receiver to be heard, perhaps the hum is a natural signal that some people have a biological receiver for. In 2019, a disturbing finding was published. The number of people who hear the hum is increasing. From 2% in the 1990s, the figure has risen to nearly 4%. Does this mean the hum is getting stronger, or are humans becoming more sensitive to it? Dr. Chen has a thought-provoking theory. Perhaps the hum is a warning. The Earth is trying to tell us something, and more people are starting to hear it because the message is becoming more urgent. But what that message is, we still cannot decode. Meanwhile, those who hear the hum must live with it every day. Some learn to accept it, seeing it as the heartbeat of the Earth. Others have to take sedatives to sleep. And a few unlucky ones are driven by the hum to depression and serious psychological problems. Robert Mason, a retired engineer, shares, "The hum has changed my life. Not for better or for worse, just different. I realize I'm part of something bigger, something science doesn't understand yet. Sometimes I think maybe the people who hear the hum were chosen for a reason. We are the gatekeepers, hearing what others cannot." The hum continues to resonate in the dark night, a monotonous melody with no beginning or end. And somewhere, someone is waking up, listening, trying to understand the message hidden in this mysterious sound. Will we one day decode it? Or will the hum forever remain one of nature's greatest mysteries? From the mysterious sounds in the air, we move to our final and perhaps most frightening story. About a beautiful beach in California, where people vanish without a trace. And the most terrifying part, they vanish right before the eyes of their loved ones. Part 6. The Seal Beach Disappearances. The beach that swallows people. Imagine you are walking along Seal Beach on a beautiful sunset evening. The waves are lapping gently. The sea breeze is cool. You're holding your lover's hand, watching the sun go down together. You turn your back for 1 second to take a picture of the sunset. When you turn back, the one you love is gone. No cry for help, no sign of a struggle. Only footprints leading straight to the water's edge and stopping abruptly, as if that person was swallowed whole. Seal Beach, a seemingly peaceful beach in Orange County, California. With its long stretch of fine white sand and clear blue water, it's a favorite destination for tourists and locals. But behind that serene beauty lies a dark mystery. From 1970 to the present, there have been 47 unexplained disappearances at this beach, and all of them share chilling similarities. The first well-documented disappearance occurred in July of 1987. The Martinez family, a family of 4 including parents and 2 children, went to Seal Beach for a picnic. At 3 in the afternoon, they were sitting on a blanket about 20 yards from the water's edge. A witness, Mrs. Dorothy Chen, who was sitting nearby, recounted, "I saw them laughing and talking happily. The mother stood up and walked towards the water, maybe to wash her hands. I turned away for a moment to get some water from my bag. When I looked back, the entire family was gone. The strange thing was that the picnic blanket was still there, the food still neatly arranged. The shoes of all 4 people were still placed neatly beside it. But the Martinez family was gone. In the sand, there were 4 sets of footprints leading straight to the sea. But what is inexplicable is that the footprints stopped abruptly about 5 yards from the water's edge, as if they had vanished into thin air. The rescue team searched for 3 weeks. Divers scoured every inch of the seabed. Helicopters flew along the coast for hundreds of miles, but they found nothing. No bodies, no scraps of clothing, no sign they had even entered the water. It was as if the sea had swallowed them without a trace. In 2003, another disappearance shocked the public. Michael Stevens, 32, a marathon runner, had a habit of jogging on the beach every morning. A security camera from a beachfront restaurant captured Michael running into the frame at 6:15 a.m. In the video, he can be seen running steadily along the shore. Nothing unusual. But the chilling thing happens at the 7th minute of the video. Michael is running, and suddenly, he vanishes. Not running out of frame, not falling down, but literally disappearing in a single frame. The frame before, he is there. The frame after, there is nothing. The camera did not malfunction. It continued to record, capturing other people on the beach. The police analyzed the video frame by frame. There was no sign of editing, no technical glitch. Michael Stevens truly vanished in an instant. Even stranger, there were no footprints in the sand at the point of his disappearance, as if he had never run past that spot. Maria Gonzalez, who has lived near the beach for 40 years, has her own observations about Seal Beach. The sea here, there's something wrong with it. On full moon nights, if you stand on the beach at midnight, you can hear whispers from the water. Not the sound of the waves, but like people talking, in a language no one understands. The Chumash, the native tribe that has lived in this area for thousands of years, calls Seal Beach Humaliwu, meaning where the surf sounds loudly. In their legends, this is a gateway to the underwater world, the home of the water people, spirits who are neither human nor fish. They have rituals to stay away from the beach on certain days of the year, days when the gateway is most wide open. In 2015, an event caught the attention of the scientific community. A team of oceanographers from UC San Diego discovered a previously unknown cave system beneath Seal Beach. Using advanced sonar technology, they mapped a complex network of caves at a depth of 200 meters, 650 feet. The strange thing is, the structure of the caves was unlike any other natural cave. Dr. James Patterson, the head of the research team, shared, "These caves have tunnels that are unnaturally straight, as if they were designed rather than formed naturally. And in some of the caves, our equipment picked up sounds. Not the sound of water or marine life, but something like singing, a repeating, wordless melody. When robotic submersibles were sent down to explore, they repeatedly lost signal mysteriously. The robots that returned all had strange signs of damage, not from physical impact, but as if they had been corroded by some unknown energy. One robot even returned with its memory completely wiped, despite having recorded for 4 hours underwater. The FBI once opened a secret investigation into the Seal Beach disappearances. They considered the possibility of a serial killer but found no evidence. No foreign DNA, no signs of a struggle, no specific victim profile. Young and old, male and female, all disappeared alike, alone or in groups, day or night, good weather or bad. There was no discernible pattern. Sarah Mitchell, a rare survivor of a near disappearance, recounted her experience. "I was walking with my husband on the beach. Suddenly I felt a strong pull towards the sea. Not the wind, not the waves, but as if an invisible hand had grabbed me. My husband had to use all his strength to hold me back. And in that moment I heard a voice in my head, not in English, but somehow I understood. It said, 'Come to us.'" Scientists offer many theories. Strong undertows could pull people out to sea, but that doesn't explain the disappearances on dry land. Sudden sinkholes could swallow people, but they leave no holes behind. Anomalous magnetic fields could affect the brain, but that doesn't explain the physical disappearances. There is a terrifying detail that few know. Of the 47 people who went missing, 12 were found, but not at Seal Beach. They were found on other beaches along the Pacific coast, hundreds or even thousands of miles from Seal Beach. All of them were in a state of panic, with no memory of the time they were missing. They only remembered one thing: the feeling of being pulled down into a dark place underwater, and a wordless song echoing in the darkness. Seal Beach remains open to the public. Every day, thousands of people come to swim, most unaware of the dark mysteries. But the locals know. They never go to the beach alone. They never go in the water during a full moon. And if they hear a call from the sea, they never answer. Because at Seal Beach, the line between our world and the next is thinner than ever. And sometimes, with just one wrong step, you can cross that line and never come back. 6 mysteries. 6 unanswered questions, 6 pieces of a larger puzzle that we may not be ready to see in its entirety. Lake Tahoe with its underwater graveyard where the dead stand still in the eternal cold. The Thunderbird with its giant wings gliding through the sky like a ghost from the past. The phantom city appearing and disappearing like a collective dream. Clinton Road existing in memory but not in reality. The hum echoing in the minds of the chosen, and Seal Beach where people vanish into nothingness. What is it about California, the land of high-tech and advanced science, that makes it the epicenter of such unexplainable mysteries? Is it because this is where 2 worlds meet? Where the vast Pacific Ocean touches the continent? Where arid deserts meet snow-capped mountains? Where the modern meets the ancient? Or is there something deeper, more ancient, sleeping beneath the California soil? The native people knew this thousands of years ago. They had stories, warnings, rituals. They knew there were places one should not go, times one should not look at the sky, sounds one should not listen to. But we, with all our scientific knowledge, with all our modern technology, have forgotten that this universe is vaster and more mysterious than what our textbooks teach. Perhaps these mysteries are a reminder that we do not fully understand the world we live in, that there are other dimensions existing in parallel. That time is not the straight line we think it is, that human consciousness can connect with things far beyond our normal perception. But this is also a warning. Not every mystery needs to be solved. Not every door should be opened. Jacques Cousteau remained silent about what he saw at the bottom of Lake Tahoe. Perhaps he was right. There are truths that humanity is not ready to face. So what should we do with these mysteries? Live in fear? Or deny them? No. The answer lies in respect. Respect for the unknown. Respect for the power of nature. Respect for the wisdom of the ancients. And most importantly, respect for our own limits. If you are in California or anywhere else in this world, remember that mystery is all around us. Perhaps right now, as you are hearing these words, the hum is resonating somewhere. A thunderbird is spreading its wings in the night sky, Someone is driving on Clinton Road, and at Seal Beach, the waves still lap gently, as if they have never swallowed anyone. Share this story, not to spread fear, but to remind each other that this world is more wonderful and mysterious than we imagine. And if you've ever had a strange experience, don't stay silent. Tell someone. Because maybe, just maybe, you are not as alone as you think. California, where the sun sets into the Pacific, where dreams meet reality, where mystery never dies. And in the shadow of these mysteries, perhaps we will find the light of truth, a truth that is bigger, deeper, and more magical than anything we have ever imagined. Sleep well and have sweet dreams. But remember, when you wake up, the world will be just as mysterious as when you fell asleep.